let's jump into it. By training, this is just my personal presentation, okay? By training, I'm an economist and an anthropologist. I come from the University of Cadiz, which is part of the Research EU project. And I also have a master's in business internationalization. I've worked with startups in the whole process of entering new markets and this kind of challenges, the strategies involved. And as Juanra said, I'm also a PhD candidate, and the focus of my thesis is precisely startups, okay, nascent companies, companies that are starting and what challenges they face, okay? I have over 20 years of experience, international experience, and right now 12 of them are just focused in this kind of startups, okay? This is my LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out today, in a couple of months, in a couple of years, whenever you have any questions or anything about Lean Startup or about your projects, your company, just feel free to reach out to me. And on the right, just so that you have an overview of what I've done academically and professionally, these are the institutions I've worked with at an academic level. And on the right, I have the companies I've had the pleasure to work for, okay? Ranging from one of the largest companies in Spain to the Spanish embassy in Brazil as an advisor to companies internationalizing their operations. Light in the Box is one of the main examples. I will share more about this later. Okay, I will share some details about Lean Startup and Light in the Box later. Basically, I was living in China for almost 10 years, and I had the opportunity to enter this startup at a pre-seed stage and was part of the global expansion team all the way after the IPO, okay? And later on, I joined Dimune, which is a startup incubator. So again, working every day with projects that wanted to just start at the beginning. And right now I'm the CEO of a company which is actually related to this as well, okay? How to analyze entrepreneurial teams and how to identify potential startups. All right. As a part of the presentation part, I don't know. I think it's super important to know there's Lean Startup is a movement that already has almost 15 years of history. Okay, it's not totally new methodology. Of course, it's constantly evolving, but it's something that we already have a track record. Okay, it's proven its usefulness. So here, apart from the two books, okay, the original one, the Lean Startup, and then the Startup Way, which is the most recent one, I really encourage you to read them. Sorry, if you are interested, but also some free available content around the internet. Okay, the first three links are extremely related with the author of the Lean Startup methodology. Then I have another one for Steve Blank, which is also a reference, and I encourage you to read about him and about his work. And then these are two private institutions. Y Combinator and Techstars are two of the largest startup accelerators in the world, and they have plenty of free available resources for entrepreneurs. You can check many things about examples, about tools, about a lot of free resources. Okay, so just later on, if you want to go deeper, feel free to access this resource. Okay. All right. Before we jump into Lean Startup in the next session, I told you by training I'm an economist and anthropologist, and I don't know. Since the audience today is very academic, I think it's interesting to put with a little bit more rigor something that we all know. Okay, this concept is called cargo cult. You have the references here, so you can check them. But what is it? Basically, is when someone tries to copy or imitate a behavior or practice without understanding the underlying causes. Okay, the causal relationship, for example. This is way more frequent than we think. And in startups, because of something we will check later, which is called liability of newness, if you take too much time to apply practices that you don't understand, normally it could lead to disappearance, okay? Just closing the startup before even starts getting traction, okay? This is a concept that we all have the intuition behind it, but the history is that, wow, you can read it here. This is a citation directly. I just copied it, okay? But you can see here that, okay, when we look at indigenous people from Melanesia, actually they saw the airplanes coming with a lot of manufactured items from Europe, for example, from the US, and they tried to copy them made of wood. They didn't know how it worked. They only knew the appearance, right? And sometimes we laugh at those practices. But what the lean startup, and this is the example exactly they have in this book, is some people think that just by applying Scrum or applying any other agile methodology, well, we're doing the right thing. When we're doing pretty much what these people were doing, just copy something expecting that it will work when it has absolutely nothing to do with the original idea, okay? And let me just pause here for a second and share with you two examples so that this is extremely clear. One of them is with Light in the Box. As I told you, I was part of this project for a few years. And this is inspired on the real story, but it may or may not be 100% true, okay? for confidential reasons, etc. But okay, at that time, we had the challenge of opening a warehouse in Europe. We were a startup, a scale-up. We already had hundreds of thousands of customers, so we were not really a startup. We were a little bit farther down the road. But we had the option that we proposed, the team proposed, which was, okay, let's analyze where to put the warehouse according to where our customers are. And let's minimize the time to delivery or optimize the price, the cost of the shipping, etc. Different variables, right? And then there is another approach, which is, okay, why don't we just see what the leaders are doing? Why don't we see what Amazon is doing, what Amazon did, and we just copy it without really understanding why they did it? Well, it turns out that if we follow the first approach, the logical placement for the warehouse would be Germany or France or something like that, because those are the main markets in Europe. But Amazon started their warehouse at that time in Poland. And I will tell you, basically for the salaries of the workers and the law regulation, the labor regulation. So if you're comparing a 3,000 people warehouse with a 10 people warehouse, then the reason was totally flawed for the beginning, okay? And the second example is something that you probably can be more familiar with, which is, I put here the logo of Google AdSense, but it applies to any advertising business model, okay? Basically, you start your project, whatever it is you're building. It can be a software, it can be a new hardware, or I don't know, a chemical process to develop plant-based meat, whatever. Okay. Some people just copy what others are doing, and they think they can make money by using advertising, for example, or using any other practice. But as it turns out, you need to understand how that works. You need to have, you need to pass a threshold of users so that monetizing through advertising makes sense. And I personally, unfortunately, I've seen a large number of projects failing by failing in understanding how to apply these practices, okay? Just copy paste them without understanding how they work.